welcome everybody to Lazy Wealth Creation. And today we have a very special guest in the studio. Woo. When I say special guest, what I mean by this is one of the things I like to celebrate is when you have people from unexpected places who surprise you in really positive ways. And of course, there's lots of negative iteration about youths of today, rioting and antisocial behavior and all that. But actually, not every young person is like that. And today I'm joined by a young lady who, after listening to a few of our podcasts, got in touch and was asking me really sensible questions about money and about how to create wealth. So what I thought would be good to do is to bring her in, let her ask some of these questions live, because I'm sure there's other people who are listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube who would also like to understand some of the questions that she was asking. So I would like to introduce a young lady called Grace, who is with us today.
Hello.
Welcome, Grace.
Thank you.
Welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
Always a bit nervous when you come to the studio for the first
time. Just a little bit.
All the lights are on and the video's watching us and we're like, oh God, did I brush my teeth properly this morning?
Oh, don't even.
So just tell us a little bit about how you got in touch, Grace, and why you got in touch. Just explain that to our audience.
So I got in touch because I wanted to learn more about money and how you can make some and how it develops in a way. So you can give examples about how to make it and why it's good for you and stuff like that.
Brilliant. So what are you in school still?
Yeah, I'm in high school year 10.
In year 10?
Yes.
So that means you must definitely be doing GCSEs now.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
What GCSEs are you studying at the moment?
Media studies, geography and health and social care.
Health and social care as well?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. So anywhere you can go in the world with your geography, you can deliver some health and social care.
Exactly.
And you can film it on YouTube.
Yeah.
I love it. I love where your mind's at. That's we can make you a millionaire already just doing that. Social media influencer. Healthcare Grace. The flying Grace helicopter. Brilliant. So you're doing GCSEs at the moment?
Yes, I've already started.
Amazing. And are you doing well in school?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, if I spoke to your teachers, what sort of grades would they be telling us that you were going to get, do you reckon?
Probably around B's.
Oh, that's really good.
A few A's, so.
Wow.
Maybe mostly, C's and B's and A's.
Okay, all right, so C's, B's and A's.
Pretty much, yeah.
I don't know if you will understand this, but when my school days were there, they definitely said I was a CBA student. So that's what we mean, can't be arsed. So
oh yeah,
they said Carl's a very nice lad, but he's a CBA student. I can't be arsed.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Oh, there you go. See, so don't be like me. Stay in school, work hard. Okay. So obviously, it's been a few years since I was in the education system.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Yeah. Wow. I don't know if this was a good idea now, right? I'm really regretting this. So it has been a few years. So if you could recap me, what do they teach you about how you get money in school? What sorts of subjects do you do where they say this is how you make money?
Well, in Wellbeing, year 9, we had a booklet on money management,
Right.
and it sort of taught more about, not as such making money side, but like wages, taxes and stuff like that. So they give you like a description sort of thing, and you had to write what it was.
Right. So they tell you this is what taxes mean.
Yeah.
Right. So did they tell you how to actually make money? I think you said no to that, but is there any sort of ways to say this is how you make money?
They more just really tell you to like get a job, make sure you've got good grades to be employed and stuff like that. So.
Right. Do you know that's such an important point that you raised there, Grace? When I was in school, things don't seem to have changed, by the way. So
yeah.
Maybe there's not that many years between us.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. I mean, I am only 23, So when I was in school, the head teacher, she did a bit assembly to us when we were in our year 10, actually, so the same year as you now. And she said to us, her name was Mrs. Holt, and I went to Woodchurch High School many years ago. Mm-hmm. I left in 1998, just for context. And at year 10, she said, this is the most important year now because this is the start of your GCSEs. Yeah. And this is going to be the year that defines you because there's no going back after this year. You want to do well in your GCSEs because we want you to go to college. Some of you will go to university and we want you to get a good job.
Yeah.
I don't know, did you have a speech like that from your school? Or did
It was like, make sure you've got good grades and then you'll be able to go into like a bigger college and stuff like that. So
Right.
basically the same sort of context.
Wow. So all those years later and we're still talking pretty much the same language in school.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So I'm never going to go against anybody that says you should have a good education
Yeah.
and that you should work hard. That is absolutely key. There's no such way, unless you're born into real wealth, that you would be able to sort of say, you know what, education's for dummies, don't worry
Yeah.
about that. I'm just going to not bother with school and I'm not going to bother. That's absolutely the wrong attitude. And when you're in school, having the attitude of trying hard and working hard, even though sometimes you might not want to,
Yeah.
that's a really good mindset approach. The sort of the way I disagree with the education system, as it were, is not that you shouldn't work hard. You absolutely should,
Yeah.
but work hard to get a job.
Yeah.
That's the part I don't necessarily see eye to eye with, because when you are working hard to get a job, that means you're working in exchanging your time for money. If you give me 8 hours, I will pay you £12 an hour, I think is the national minimum wage at the moment. So I'll pay you £12 an hour. And that might be great for you when you're a young person, maybe
Yeah.
living at home, maybe while you're going to college and university and you just want some extra cash to, to be able to live, have a decent living. But then at some point in your life, you may choose, actually, I don't really want to do this job for 25 years. I want to travel the world. So what am I going to do then? I can't sort of say to my boss one day, actually, boss, I'm going away for 3.5 years. Don't quite know when I'll be back.
Yeah.
So, is that okay? Because what do you think the employer's going to say?
No.
No, of course not.
You've got to work.
I need you in here. You've got to earn money, right?
Yeah.
So how are you going to earn money if you're backpacking across wherever it is you choose to backpack across? And then eventually you might want to meet somebody and possibly even have kids of your own, God forbid. Kids are the biggest drain on money that you can ever... Well, you're a young person, you must drive your parents crazy, I'm sure. Have you got an iPhone?
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
Do you go to like little clubs and dance lessons, that sort of thing? Or
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. All costs money, right?
Yeah.
Someone's got to pay for it, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. So if you have a job, if you're employed by somebody, that can be a real drain on resources because you're only getting so much money coming in. There's only so many hours in a week that you can work, and therefore you're capped at how much you can actually earn. Our job at Lazy Wealth is to say, well, actually, it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
And when you came to us and asked the questions like, what does this money work and how does it work? I was like, God, that would be really good to answer on a podcast. So what I thought we'd do is I'm going to start off by talking to you about the Cashflow Quadrant, which is from a really famous book from a chap called Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. It's a wonderful book. I highly recommend it. There'll be a link in my comments below in my descriptions. So if you want to go ahead and purchase that book, if you haven't already, for your young people or for adults even, it will change your life forever, I promise. So I'm going to go through the cash flow quadrant with you right now. So I'm going to go slightly off mic because I've got the board just behind me here. So just give me a second while I go quiet. So hopefully, Grace, you can see the board just behind me there.
Yep.
If I do that, can you still see me?
Yeah.
So the top left quadrant where it says E, that means employee. And the vast, vast majority of people that are in school with you right now will choose either the E quadrant, so they'll choose to be an employee. They'll go and work for a company who will give them money in exchange for their time, which is what most people are sort of trained to do. Even when you go to college and university and you get a good degree, which I'm sure if you wanted to do that, you would do.
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean, oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course I would. What would you like to study if you did?
Study in college?
And uni? Would you go to uni, do you think?
Not sure.
Not sure yet.
Probably health and social care.
Right, okay, you could certainly study that.
Mhm.
Okay. So, you go to college, you go to uni, you study health and social care, and you become an employee of somebody. So you could study nursing and become an employee of the NHS or a private hospital. You could study physiotherapy, do the same. You could study how to cut toenails if you wanted to be a podiatrist or a chiropodist. It doesn't really matter. But you'd be an employee of somebody,
Yeah.
maybe a well-paid employee, as opposed to somebody who perhaps didn't go to college or university, who just sort of stayed, I don't know, say working in the local chip shop, for example. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
People they take great joy and pleasantry in all kinds of work.
As long as it brings you money.
If it brings you money and you're happy, that's the other
Yeah,
part that people
yeah.
forget, and it makes you happy.
Yeah.
But most people from a school age are taught, go to school, work hard, try hard. If you go to college then uni, or if you don't, get a job.
Yeah.
So that's the quadrant. They want you to stay in the E. Now, the interesting thing about the E quadrant is that is the place where you pay to the government the maximum amount of tax.
Mhm.
Out of every one of the four quadrants, the E quadrant is where you pay the most amount of tax. So I don't know, how much sort of detail did they go into in school about taxation? What does that mean?
It's more like a definition of like what it is.
So go on, can you remember the definition? I don't want to put you on the spot. I'm not marking you, but what does it mean?
I think isn't it something along the lines of like you make a deal with someone and you pay them like 20,000.
Oh, I wish. Okay, how old are you, Grace?
14.
14. So you're not old enough yet to get a national insurance number. But basically, when you're about 16 years of age, you're going to get a lovely letter through the post from the Department for Work and Pensions, which is a government agency, and they're going to say, "Hello, Grace, this is your national insurance number," and it'll be something like AB 123456C.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everyone's got the same sort of way of working, and that national insurance number will be with you for the rest of your natural life in the UK. And that national insurance number is basically the code that the government use to collect taxes from you.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine you earn £200 a week. I pay you a salary of £200 a week.
Yeah.
And at the end of the week, you get a pay slip which tells you how much money you've earned. And then all of a sudden, you'll see a deduction. And you'll say, hold on a minute. What's this deduction here? This deduction, it says you've taken £38 off me.
Mm-hmm.
What's that for?
Yeah.
And I'll say, oh, that's tax. And you'll say, okay, what's that for then? And I say, oh, well, that's the part that we give to the government
Mm-hmm.
for the free education that you got.
I was thinking something else.
Right, that's okay, don't worry. So taxes is what we pay the government.
Mm-hmm.
And the government take all of our money and they make really, really excellent choices in how to spend that money. You know, super excellent choices, like if the Prime Minister wants to have a party when they're not allowed and they need to buy the booze, somebody's got to pay for that.
Yeah.
That's our taxes.
Yeah.
And they will also say things like, well, your taxes pay for the schools and the hospitals. Well, therefore, it can't be free then, can it? Because somebody's paying for it.
Yeah.
Right? So your taxes go towards that. And then there is what we call a stealth tax, a hidden tax, which isn't really quite so hidden, called national insurance. So national insurance taxes, what they do is they say, well, if you pay national insurance,
Oh, yeah.
what we do is we keep some of that money away for your pension for when you're old. I mean, we give it you back when you're old enough.
Yeah.
And at the moment, it's going to be 67. But every few years, they raise the age because they can't afford to pay pensions. So you're putting the money in, you're putting the money in your savings and the national insurance like they tell you to, or they force you to. But then what they do is they say, oh, did we say 67? Yeah, we really meant 78. And they keep putting it up and up and up. So by the time I come to retire, I think it'll be 97 or 1,007 or something silly like that. When you retire, I think you'll have to be 800 years old by the time you get your pension from the government. But those are the guys in this E quadrant here, they're the ones who pay the absolute most tax.
Mm-hmm.
Then we move to the second quadrant, which is self-employed. So let's say, if we stick through the theme of health and social care, because you've already said that that's what you are studying at the moment. let's say instead of working for a care company or a hospital, let's say you instead choose to set up your own company.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know anybody in your family, Grace, that set up their own company?
You?
Well done. So when you go self-employed,
Mm-hmm.
you can become sort of a sole trader, if you like. So then
Mm-hmm.
you're basically just you on your own, and you might be driving around delivering care to people,
Mm-hmm.
or you might be a bricklayer or a hairdresser or an artist. It really doesn't matter. When you're a self-employed person, you pay less taxes than you would as an employed person. And you see lots of independent people, like if you get your house done, you get a new bathroom, very often it'll be an independent contractor, a one-man band who'll
Mm-hmm.
come in and they'll do the bathroom for you, and they'll charge you some money, and they'll get a bigger portion instead of paying the tax man.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go on to the B quadrant, and that's for business owners. So business owners, they pay less tax than the other two.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is because typically they end up in what we call a limited company. And the business owner, what they tend to do is employ a bunch of people. And guess what they pay, Grace?
No idea.
Taxes. Lots and lots of taxes.
Who? Sorry.
The people that work for you.
Oh, yeah.
Not you. I mean, you're the business owner.
Yeah,
Do you
sure.
pay well, obviously, because this is going out internationally, we pay all of our taxes. If the HMRC are listening, my name is John Smith. I don't have a national insurance number. Sorry. So the business owner, they employ lots of people, and then those people go on to pay tax.
Mm-hmm.
So because you're setting up businesses, they tend to give you a few more tax breaks or subsidies or incentives to hire people, so you can end up paying a little bit less tax than the other two before us. And then finally, the very best quadrant to be in, the I quadrant. The I quadrant is super cool. That is the investor quadrant.
Mm-hmm.
And the investor quadrant, those are the ladies and gents who pay the very least amount of tax. So we've gone from paying 33% tax up here in the employee quadrant, 20% plus 13% national insurance, 33%, down to I, investor, who can very often pay zero tax. And not only can sometimes they pay zero tax, but also they get money from the government for setting up the companies that they set up, or for investing in the companies that they invest in. So not only are they paying zero, they're also getting money back as well. Which one would you rather be, do you reckon?
The investor.
Absolutely. You're looking at me like, is this a silly question? But how many times do you get told about this when you're in school, I wonder?
I've heard of like the terms employees, business owner and investor, but you don't really get told, like, you could say like the secrets behind them.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
like the how much tax who they can pay zero. So like you don't really understand that because you're not told it.
Yeah. And the thing is, when you're in a place of learning like school or college or university, what do you expect to be told?
All that stuff.
All that stuff. So why aren't they teaching us that? Which one do you think all the teachers are in? Which bracket?
Employees.
How do you know?
Because you've got, like, for example, school, I'll use school as an example.
Mhm.
You've got the head teacher, and then you've got, like, then they work, like, the teachers work for him because he, like, runs school.
Mm.
So, yeah.
Okay, not bad really. You're right. Teachers are employees, and most schools in this country, in the UK, they are run and funded by the government, by the state.
Yeah.
Okay, not all. There are private schools available for anyone who chooses to want to try and sue me. There are other alternatives. But the vast majority of people who are educated in England, Wales and Scotland and Northern Ireland, they are typically going to a state-funded school, and they are run by employees.
Mm-hmm.
And even some of the private schools as well, they very typically are employing teachers to teach you things.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's really important, in my opinion at least anyway, from where I sit, that young people should be educated about all of the choices
Yeah.
that they make, because when you leave school, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And you need to say, well, actually, what do I want to do? you see people, you come from a different generation to me, the TikTok influencer generation, I call it. I don't know, it looks like you know what TikTok is.
Yeah.
With the sparkle in your eye, you're like, yeah, I know what TikTok is, you old man. Why I talk about TikTok, have you heard of an influencer?
Yeah.
What does an influencer do?
They they influence people, but they make people want to do something or buy something for a certain amount of money. Like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Or but because they've got it, everyone else wants it because
Right.
they're known as that.
So how would one become an influencer? Can I just be an influencer tomorrow? Can I just set up my TikTok account? I'm an influencer, darling. Is that how it works?
No,
No?
you've got, for example, start the account, and then you've got to sort of, start getting viral. Start by using the products you've got or whatever you have, and then work your way up to getting branded and getting other companies' brands, and then putting them out there and going, oh, you should get this, it's amazing. So influencing people to buy it.
And then how did they say, oh my God, yeah, I love the Lazy Wealth Creation cup that you've created. How can I buy this? How would they buy it?
I don't know.
That's the secret sauce then, isn't it? So typically, when you see a social media influencer, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, they will say, oh my God, you will never believe this, guys. I've just had the most amazing cup of coffee from this absolutely stunning cup. If you've never had the Lazy Wealth Creation cup before, you have to try it. It keeps your coffee perfectly heated at 68 degrees Celsius. It retains the sugar. There's little gnomes inside of it that do magic dances for you, and it plays a really amazing song in your head. To get this, you can use my 10% discount code just below.
Yeah.
And then if you go just below in the comments, you'll see a little comment there. There'll be a link.
Yeah.
You click on the link, and it takes you to the website where you can buy the Lazy Wealth Creation podcast cup.
And then add a discount.
At a discount.
You'll get money off.
That's it. Type in Grace 10 and you will get 10% off the Lazy Wealth Creation. There you go. You can be an affiliate. Pardon?
As if.
That's it. We can do that. We can set that up for you. You can add it onto your socials.
Yeah.
Grace 10% discount for a Lazy Wealth cup. You've heard it here first.
LinkedIn bio.
Absolutely. So that's how they make money. So in that quadrant, which one do you think they are? Do you think they're employees, self-employed? What do you think?
Probably. Aren't they still employed because they're still getting? They're self-employed because it's
Right.
that cup. Yeah. Self-employed.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
So they'll be working on commission only.
Yeah.
Okay, so what that means is they only get paid if they sell something. So the company is unlikely to say, look, we'll pay you, I don't know, £50,000, irrespective of whether you sell anything or not, because that's a bad deal for the company. Because if you're not a good seller, the company's got to pay you £50,000 and they've got nothing back for it. That's a bad deal for the company, right? But if you work on commission only in what we call affiliate marketing, that's what this is actually called in the business world now. We're affiliate marketers. We say, right, you, Grace, sell my Lazy Wealth Creation cup on your social media, use Grace 10 to get the thing up. You've now become an affiliate marketer for Lazy Wealth Creation.
Yeah.
Somebody goes on your site, they click on it, they buy a cup, and I say, right, Grace, we had an agreement for every cup that they sell, we sell using Grace 10, we're going to pay you £2. So you go, wow, that's great. So you're now going to get more motivated to sell more Lazy Wealth Creation cups, because every time there's a cup sold,
you get money.
you get £2.
Yeah.
But then you've got to declare it to the government as well, and then you've got to pay taxes on it. Don't forget the tax.
And then it depends how many they sell.
Absolutely, it does, yeah. And if it's working, then great. If it's not working, then not so great.
Because that could be your only job.
Yeah.
So if you're getting £2 in for every cup they sell, it could be 3 a week. So you're not going to be able to live off that.
Unless you live in the bank of mum and dad, of course. So, yeah, you're right, though. £6 isn't a lot to live off if you're only selling 3 cups a week. You have to shift some serious cups.
Yeah.
Or you have to sell more expensive products.
Yeah.
And if you look at, I don't know, should we give a shout out to, have you got any famous influencers that you follow?
Ooh, no.
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 No famous influencers?
No.
Fantastic, I love it. Like, giving it to the man there, I love that. So, a lot of famous influencers, they'll sell either very high ticket items, what that means is very expensive stuff.
Yeah.
So they'll say, oh guys, And I always do it in this really super camp voice. I don't know why. It's like my inner camp comes out. Oh my God. Oh my God. I've just tried the latest face cream. Guys, look at my complexion, seriously. Oh my God. I was riddled with acne a week ago. I've tried the Magic Supers Formula Serum, Secret X. And now, look at my skin. It's glowing. It's flawless. Please don't look at my skin too closely in 4K. It's awful. That's just an example. I don't really use the Secret X formula. But then what they do is they say, right, get that now. It's usually $79.99, but you can get it.
Oh, yeah, because you see on, like, TikTok, for example, like, I feel bad for people that bought this for £10. It's now gone down to £2.99.
There we have it. And if you use my special link, it's free delivery.
Free delivery.
Free delivery, and it's only $2.99.
As if.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got it. That's influencer marketing or affiliate marketing, as we would call it. You're absolutely right. So those guys would be self-employed, which is great. But the downside to that, of course, is there's no regular income.
Yeah.
If you go and work in a care job or Mackey's or something like that, McDonald's, unofficial sponsor of the Lazy Wealth Creation podcast, McDonald's, unless you want to change your mind, McDonald's, in which case, let's talk. Powered by McDonald's breakfast every episode, I swear. Double sausage egg McMuffin with hash brown. every episode powered. So,
sponsor us.
Pardon?
Sponsor us.
Sponsor us, McDonald's, please. You heard it from Grace. Would you really ignore a child, McDonald's? Seriously? Come on now, please.
Pretty please.
I love Grace. You can come back again. I love what you're doing there. You got to do the big eyes, though. McDonald's love big eyes. Oh, please help me. Yeah. And plus, you got the figure for McDonald's as well, because they really like really nice figured people to sell their stuff, not the people who actually go to McDonald's like me. You're like, 2 double cheeseburgers, please. Notice the super camp voice got lost then for the
just double
cheeseburger voice. So then what about becoming a business owner then? Because if you're a social media influencer per se, you're not necessarily going to have
you're not necessarily owning the business. You're just kind of helping them boost it out.
Being self-employed, really. You're not going to employ 30, 40 people. But then what if you developed a film crew? What if you had a lighting person? What if you had a makeup artist? What if you had a PA who dealt with all of your bookings? Now all of a sudden you become a business.
Yeah.
And there are certainly people who are social media influencers who have all of that. They have a whole team around them of people that they employ as a small business. But then we've got the investors, which is what I talk about. The investors, because I believe that's the best place to be. What's the best way to make money? Usually I say in my sleep. I like to make money in my sleep. And there's lots of different ways we can do that. Do you know, it's not a trick question, it's okay if you don't know.
Okay.
Do you know the difference between an asset and a liability? Have you even heard of those terms before?
I've heard of them, but I don't know what they are.
Okay. So an asset, I'm going to keep it real simple for you. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket.
Yeah, okay.
Got that?
Yeah.
I'm going to test you on that in a minute.
Okay.
So you have to get your smarts with you. And a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket.
Like an income and outcome?
Income and outgoings. Or expenditure,
oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's really good. But in the basic term, an asset is something that puts money in your pocket, and a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. Okay? So, let's say I'm a young, hot, single man, obviously, clearly, and I want to attract a nice lady. Okay? So forget your Tinders or your Grinders. We don't judge here. We can be any persuasion. And I want to go out and I say, I know, I've got a good idea. I'm going to go and get myself a really nice car because nothing impresses ladies better than a car, right? Yawn. So I want to go out and get this car. I work in McDonald's. I get £250 a week. And I'm going to go and get a Mercedes.
Oh.
Very nice. And the Mercedes is costing me £450 a month. So I'm only earning 250 quid a week, £1,000 a month, and I'm spending over 400 quid on a car.
Yeah. It's not worth it.
It's not worth it, why not?
Because you've also then, don't you also have to give I can't remember how much it is, some money to the government as well.
Oh, I love where your head's at. This girl, guys, you need to listen to this lady. Yes, you absolutely have to give money to the government. Taxes.
£1,000 a month. and then you give in however much to the government, so the taxing, and then you're paying for the car, so you barely then you got to pay for the bills and all the stuff, so then you've barely got anything.
So absolutely, Grace. What you're saying is bob on the money. If you choose to take your £1,000 wages, salary that you got from your employment, and then spend 450 of those pounds on hiring a nice fancy car to impress a lady or a boy, if that's your thing. And then you've got to pay taxes, you've got to pay fuel for the car, you've got to pay your bills. If you're still living at home, you've got to give your mum and dad some money for food, unless you're just eating in Mackey's, in which case you'll turn into an ogre. So really, although some could argue, yeah, but you need the car to get to work. But do you need the flash Mercedes to get to work?
No.
Not really. You don't really need the flash Mercedes at 450 quid a month, do you?
No.
So one could argue, would that be an asset or a liability, would you say?
A liability.
100%. I think that's a liability. There's nothing wrong with having a car, but within your own affordable price range.
Yeah.
Because really what you want to try and do, in my opinion anyway, is you want to get as much money as you possibly can so that you can move into the investor quadrant as quickly as you can.
Yeah.
Because for someone like me, I didn't start until I was in my 40s. I know it's hard to believe I'm 40. I know. I get it. I mean, clearly, Project X secret serum formula works wonderful. But I didn't start till my 40s. And the thing that I regret the most of all of that is I didn't start sooner.
Yeah.
I just think to myself, goodness me, if I'd have started 10 years ago, where would I have been now? I probably would have been retired many times over now. So being an investor is quite important for me, because it teaches us how to put our money to good use and earn money while we sleep.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between an asset and a liability, Grace? Go on.
An asset's where where someone puts money in your pocket, and then a liability is when it takes it out.
I couldn't have put that better myself. Well done, love. Brilliant. Assets. So what things do you think might be assets then? Go on, let's have a little guess.
So something that puts money in your pocket. Can employees be one if you're a business owner or an investor?
100%, yeah, you've hit the money on the head. If you own a business and it makes profit and your employees are working for you to make that profit, that business is absolutely an asset, 100%. That's a really, really great observation.
The government
can become an asset if you choose to invest in things that they subsidise.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
But you've really got to be very careful on that. Okay, others?
I can't think.
It's okay. That's why we're here. So, do you know about property? Ooh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, go on. I love it when you say that. Go on, tell me what you know about property.
Isn't like what you own? It's like
you
land.
can own property. You can rent it, though, from people as well.
It's like renting, owning, not it.
So, if you rented a house from somebody, okay, so say you rented a house from me.
Yeah.
Is that your house or my house?
Yours, because you're just borrowing it.
You're just borrowing it, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. You put that brilliantly, by the way. I love that. So, is that an asset for you or a liability for you?
A liability, because you're paying them still.
Do you know what, Grace? There's hope for you yet, my lovely. There's hope for you yet. You're absolutely right. That is a liability because you don't own it. Who does own it?
You.
So is it my asset or my liability?
Asset, because you're getting the money.
So while I'm asleep in bed, dreaming of my secret serum formula, you're paying my rent.
Yeah.
Which pays the mortgage, which pays the bank, the money I loaned to buy that house. You're paying them for me. And while that's happening, the property is rising in value over time. I don't mean over like a month or 3 months or 6 months. I don't mean that. But if I have that property for 10 years, 20 years, property prices go up very considerably all around the world, not just here in the UK. So one of the easiest ways to secure wealth in the future is property.
Yeah.
It's not the only way, but it's one of the most recognised ways to buy properties. But if you rent, you don't own.
Yeah.
So that money is dead money then. So once you've paid the rent, you've got to start again from zero because you've got to pay next month's rent.
Oh, yeah.
Because obviously I won't pay next month as well, don't I?
Yeah.
So your liability, my asset. So nowadays it can become quite difficult to make a lot of money owning one house because there's not much money in one house. But let's say you're a really savvy investor and you own a portfolio of houses. What do you think that means?
A portfolio? Isn't it like why you should get a job?
No. Portfolio is a group, a number. So instead of buying one house where I get maybe 50 quid a month, could I live off 50 quid a month?
No.
Well, probably not with my wife's cooking. I could probably be dead if I gave her 50 quid for the shopping bill. But if I, instead of owning one house, bought, say, 50 houses, that will be a portfolio. And all of a sudden, my £50 a month times by 50 houses, that goes up quite considerably then. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Perfect. So when we look at buying property, we don't just want to buy one or two or three. We tend to want to buy several. And there's loads of different strategies in property. You could buy to own, like what I do. So I own all of the properties.
Yeah.
Some people do what we call flip. And a flip is where you buy a property, you do it all up, make it look really nice. You do any works to it that need to be done. You make it look really, really nice. And then you sell it for a higher price.
Yeah.
So let's say I bought a house for £100,000. I spent £20,000 doing it up with taxes and fees, say £130,000 total. And then I sell it to somebody else and I sell it to them for £200,000.
Making a profit.
I made a profit of 70 grand.
Yeah.
Wonderful. If I make a profit of 70 grand though, and I just say to the government, I just made 70 grand, what do they do then? What does the government do?
Give us some.
Give us some! By way of?
Pardon?
By way of, what do they call it?
Taxes.
Taxes, yes! I want some taxes from you. There are, of course, different ways that you manage the taxes, and if you're investing it back in a company, then it reduces your tax bill and so on. But ultimately, you've made some money. Where's my share?
Yeah.
We used to look at people like in movies and stuff when I was a kid, and it was only like the mafia, organised crime, that would be like, oh, you're a shop owner and you've made £50. Brilliant, give me my share. And we used to laugh like, God, that doesn't happen in real life, does it? And then we go, oh, wait a minute. Who's the mafia in this instance? It's the government.
Yeah.
They're taking our money from us.
Yeah.
And they go, yeah, but it's for your good. Because we're paying for those really good roads that you drive on.
Yeah.
We're paying for those really good schools that you have. We're paying for that really good medical care that you receive on the NHS. Oh dear. So taxes are going up, standards are going down, something's going wrong.
Yeah.
So as an investor though, when you get your money, you can choose where to get your medical care. You can choose where your children go to school. You can choose what country you want to drive your car on, whether it's a Mercedes or not, right? So property is definitely one asset, and renting is definitely one liability. Are there any other assets that you could think of, something that's going to put money in your pocket?
In your pocket. So we've got renting.
That's not going to put money in your pocket.
Oh, no.
Unless you're the landlord.
Not thinking of that. What in your pocket?
Do you want me to help you out?
Yeah, please.
Okay, don't worry. That's why we're here. So there's lots of things that are much cheaper to buy than properties that can be assets.
Yeah.
One of the things that I also choose to invest in is art.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tell me what you know about art. You say that we're like, oh, I know about art. Go on, tell me about art.
So, like, people will make paintings or they'll sell paintings that have been, like, old or, like, they're well done and they'll sell them for maybe... People sell them for, like, 25,000 or something like that.
A lot more than that. I think Banksy's was 25 million, the last one. I'm not too sure how much it was.
I thought it was going over. So people sell them for like 30 million, I guess, to 25 million. And then obviously people may not have the money for that. So it depends sort of where you're selling it, because people will be able to buy it, but others won't be. So it's like a 50-50 chance.
Yeah, okay. So you can buy artwork, and some artwork, like you said, is very, very expensive. But what you can do is you can buy artwork from reputable galleries. That's basically a place that sells decent art, what they think is decent art.
Oh, yeah.
And you can buy some artwork for as little as £200. Some of it's £150, okay? You get famous artists like Banksy, Mr. Brainwash, Philip Gray, Doug Hyde, Fabian Perez. If you know who these artists are, by the way, let me know in the comments below. If you've got any pieces from any of those artists, please let me know. I would love to see the pieces, and I'd love to chat to you about them as well, because I collect most of those names. So you can get original pieces of art from a really famous artist, and it will be quite expensive. But then you can buy what's called the artist proof, which is the step just below the original. It's like what they were making the concept of. And then you've got the authorized print versions. That's the authorized copies. So I could go and take a picture of it, and then I could sell that to you for 20p. It wouldn't be worth anything. But there are some authorized prints where the artist has said, yeah, absolutely, I agree with that one, and they sign it, and they say it's a limited edition print, so there's only going to be, 100 of those made, and you've got number 3 out of 100, and I'll sign it as the artist, and it comes with a certificate. Over time, when the artist's work goes up in value, it drags up even the smallest investments. So even those prints that you bought for £100, they might not be worth lots more, but they might be worth, say, £125. And you go, oh, that's not a lot. I can't really get many McDonald's cheeseburgers for an extra 25 quid. Not the way they're charging their prices now. Have you seen the price of a Happy Meal, Grace? My goodness. McDonald's, sort your Happy Meal prices out.
And sponsor us while you're at it.
And she can definitely come back again. Sponsor us, McDonald's, please. We're begging you, please. And free food. Free food. So, although that £25 doesn't sound like a lot, what you've had there is an asset that's appreciated 25%. Now, if you went to the bank today and put that same £100 in a bank account, in the same amount of time, I think the interest rate at the moment is between 4 and 5% for a young person's account. So you would have made £5 versus the £25 for the piece of art. So 5 times as much, right? So art, you don't have to necessarily have a lot of money to buy artwork. You can start very, very cheap, okay? So that could become an asset. But if you went and bought a piece of art from a person down by the beach, which might be beautiful, and I have done that in the past. I've bought some photographers' works who've taken photographs of where I come from Wirral. I go, wow, that's beautiful, I'll pay for that. It's like 35 quid. In many years to come, he may be discovered as the best photographer in the world, and all of a sudden his originals are worth millions. But really, I don't think that's going to happen. I think I just bought it because I like the piece. But when you buy art as a collection, and you buy it from a reputable art house, an art dealer, that is when you would say, right, we're going to look to this as an investment as well as it being a nice piece. So that's certainly one asset. We've got to come up with a liability now, though. What's a liability?
Renting, which
renting,
you've already
we've talked about renting. What else could we do?
Can you say scammers?
Scammers?
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, like, for example, I'm trying to think of an example. So, you want to buy something, let's just do that. You want to buy something, but it's like popular. So, for example, say, like, Taylor Swift tickets. So, you want to buy tickets, but there's none. So, you look on whatever app, and then people say, oh, I'm selling these tickets for however much, maybe say 400 quid, for example. And, 2 for 400 quid, so that's 800. And you're like, okay, I'll buy them. But before you know it, you've bought them, and you go to the gate to scan them, they're not real. So that scammer's already made £800 just from you.
I mean, that's certainly a liability. Definitely a liability. However, one could argue actual Taylor Swift tickets are a liability.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's taking money out your pocket.
Yeah.
And we would call that, in my circle, a doodad. That's what we call them, doodads. They're things that you don't necessarily need.
But you want.
But you do want, right? So I don't need to drive a Mercedes.
But you want
I want to drive a Mercedes, but I need a car.
Yeah.
So I could choose to go buy myself a, I don't know, what's a cheap car these days? A Kia. Yeah? or Datsu or something. I don't know, the horrible looking things. Don't sponsor us, Datsu. We don't like your car. Daycare, Dacia. We don't want to sponsor from you guys. Sorry.
Don't sponsor.
Don't sponsor us. Don't sponsor us. We don't want your Dacia in our showroom. But they're really cheap cars. They look, in my opinion, not very nice. They're very boxy, very ugly looking. But I could go and buy one of them for 30% of the cost of a Mercedes.
Yeah.
So I need a car. I could go and buy one of them. But I want the Mercedes.
Yeah.
So it's a doodad. So a liability, something that takes money out of your pocket. Rent is definitely one.
Couldn't anything be a liability that you pay for?
Absolutely. Yeah. If
So anything.
If there's no intrinsic value.
Yeah.
But like food is not a liability because without food you die.
Yeah.
Water is not a liability. But Coca-Cola is. You can sponsor us as well, Coca-Cola. We love you too.
We love you.
We love you, Coca-Cola.
Diet Coke.
Oh yeah, she really does drink Diet Coke, by the way. I personally prefer full fat Coke. I know that's not a great branding image. Original taste cola, i.e. full fat, okay? For the gentleman who doesn't necessarily care. That's what we could sponsor it for, Coca-Cola. Please come back to us. We've got loads of ideas. So we got to plug it, Grace. We've got to make money somehow. You know, these lights, they're expensive, right? We've got to keep the bills paid, right? So a podcast could be an asset if people sponsor us.
McDonald's.
Who else? Coca-Cola.
Any restaurant.
But not daycare. We don't want you daycare. I'm so sorry.
If you have a daycare, don't be ashamed.
Yeah, we love you anyway. We respect the fact that you chose the need for a car rather than comfort.
It's the thought that counts.
It's the thought that counts. We're not judging you. We promise. We sort of are, but we promise we're not judging you, daycare owners. We really are judging you a lot. Sorry. Oh, we're such judgy bitches right now. Oh my God. I blame you. You're a bad influence on me. I'm never normally like this. So, assets and liabilities then. Let's get back on track. Assets and liabilities. Something that puts money in your pocket is an...
Oh, sorry, asset.
As an asset. Something that takes money out your pocket is a...
Liability.
Do you know what? You've graduated the Academy of Lazy Wealth Creation, Module 1. Well done.
Woo.
High five, fist bump, whatever we're going to do. Excellent. We can't do high five. We might break the mic. Right. So don't do that. No. Okay, so other questions about money. Go on, hit me with them.
Okay, right. Okay. So say they employ 14 to 17-year-olds, because it's like, what? It's like...
A business, you mean? A business owner?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, like, 14, 15, it's quite hard to get a job because, they're, or like an employed job because they're looking for like 16 over or whatever. So, for you, personally, if you were like our position now and you wanted to get a job, what industry do you think has the best pay?
I'm going to be incredibly biased here, and I'm going to say I wouldn't get a job at 14 or 15. I would become an influencer. Really. Because what I mean by that is, you're absolutely right. Many employers won't take a 14 or 15-year-old on as an employee because there'll be certain insurance requirements for them in case you had an accident. Because, like before, when we were coming to the studio, you nearly got hit by a car because you didn't look, right? So if you were working for me and I said, oh, Grace, just go over the road, go to the shop and get me a McDonald's, please sponsor them, and you got hit by a car, they'd be like, well, why did you leave that 15-year-old unsupervised? You're an idiot, Mr. Employer Carl. And I'd be like, oh, right, yeah.
There was no car coming, it's okay, don't worry.
There really was.
Was there?
Yeah, exactly, right? She didn't see the car. She really didn't see it. We were like, her mum and dad were with us, and we were like, Grace, stop.
No, but I was standing at the yellow line, so they can't come there anyway, so.
Ah, right, yes, the protecting yellow line that stops all vehicles.
Yeah, but you can't go on him. We can't park on there, but you can't really go on them.
Yeah, but they can hit you at 20 mile an hour and cause an injury.
I would have gotten off the road by then.
The innocence of youth. What can we do? Grace versus car. Grace 1, car 0.
I'm still here.
Yes, for the intervention of 3 adults. But yes, you are. So that's why, as an employer, it might be a challenge to employ somebody of your age because the risks are very high. Okay. However, let us say for a particular game that you might play. I don't know. Let's see. Do you play any games on your phone?
Not really.
Oh God, you're so boring, Grace.
Got Subway Surfers.
What
Subway Surfers sponsor us.
Subway Surfers sponsor this episode, please. So what's Subway Surfers? Tell me the premise of the game. What have you got to do?
So it's kind of like start out as like, you kind of like on the run basically. So you're running, you got to collect like coins, and like you can get like different, you got like a yoga stick so you can jump high, do like a jetpack so you can fly and get coins. So it's basically just like that.
So when you say Subway, I'm thinking of the sandwich shop. This doesn't sound like the sandwich shop. This sounds like something else.
Subway Surfers.
Subway Surfers. The Subway in America. The Subway, the train line.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Okay. So you could, as a 14-year-old, you could video your screen playing Subway Surfers. Okay. You could post a video of yourself talking over it, saying, oh, I think I'm going to make a mistake here, and oh, go left instead of right here, and oh, there's bonuses on this level, and so on and so forth, giving people advice on the game, and just generally having a laugh. You could post that onto YouTube, okay? And you post every day about Subway Surfers. Pretty soon, the algorithm on YouTube, with some descriptions from you, and maybe some help from people like my team, we can get you on YouTube, we can put some descriptions in, people start finding you on how to play Subway Surfers, or teenager play Subway Surfers, we could call it something like that. The next thing you know, you've got 2 million hits on YouTube.
Ooh.
What does that mean then?
Money.
Money! Show me the money. You're absolutely right, it does. Because YouTube rewards content creators that draw people to the platform. Make sense?
Yeah.
So for you, when you are creating content like that, if it starts to become popular, they go, oh, this is good. So Grace, we like your content because you're bringing people to our channel, right? So we would like to pay you some money, and for every X amount of thousand viewers, we will pay you Y amount of cash. I don't know about the legal contract status, like going in with a minor.
No.
It might be that your parents have to sign for it.
No, neither do I.
But the point is that you can earn money while you sleep by posting content, and people from all over the world can watch it. And then you don't necessarily need to get a job. You can actually become self-employed, a 14, 15-year-old, being a social media content creator.
Yeah.
Which sounds awesome to me, by the way. I wish I was in the social media generation. It's so easy. That's, I think, the advice that I would give. Any last questions before we wrap up? Anything else you want to know about money, or anything else that we would do?
I don't think so.
I love it. So just to remind you guys at home, an asset is?
Someone that puts money in your pocket.
And the liability is?
Something that takes money out of your pocket.
And who do we want to sponsor us?
McDonald's.
Or?
Subway Surfers.
Or Subway Surfers, or?
Diet Coke or
Diet Coke or
Coca-Cola.
Any Coke. No, not any Coke. Not any Coke. Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola. Yes? Yes, Coca-Cola. See, the face says it all.
Cherry Pepsi.
No, you can't say Pepsi on a Coke sponsor.
Both. They can both sponsor us.
No, that would be like Coke Wars. Oh, God, that sounds so bad. No, not Coke Wars. Soft Drink Wars. Soft Drink Wars, that's what we'll call it. Who definitely do we not want to sponsor this ad?
I can't remember that name.
Daycare, Dasher, whatever you call yourselves. The horrible boxy car people. We don't want you to sponsor us.
If you've got a daycare, don't be ashamed.
We love you.
I don't know what they look like. I'm just kind of flowing with the vibes.
Yeah, but I do know what they look like, and we really don't want you to sponsor us. But we want any daycare owners to listen to us and maybe look to upgrade and buy a Mercedes.
Members, Thought That Counts daycare. We love what you're doing.
We love what you're doing. Keep it real, guys. Keep it real, and keep that money in your pocket and buy a personality or something. I don't know. Right, so that has been our episode.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us, Grace.
Thank you.
And I obviously look forward to any more questions that you or your team want to send us. And of course, please keep those DMs coming. If any of you have got questions that you want to ask, or even if you've got a really interesting story to tell, we'd love to have you on the podcast. So DM us, get in touch with us, and of course, buy Coke, buy Coca-Cola, and also buy McDonald's, because they are the breakfast of champions. So thank you very much, Grace, for coming.
Thank you.
Well done.